Would you like to know the expression of a man? Well, join me on the Now Talk Show. The Now Talk Show is an intimate conversation with men to highlight the pivotal awakening from his past that has brought him from trials into triumph into the now. The Now Talk Show will be sponsored by the Alabaster Wellness Clinic. Please stay tuned. Good evening, good morning. Thank you so very much for joining us on the next episode of the Now Talk Show. I am your host, Dr. Nadine Wong. The Now Talk Show is a safe platform for men to express themselves. The Now Talk Show is sponsored by the Alabaster Wellness Clinic. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great honor that you help me to welcome another distinguished gentleman, Reverend Dr. O'Neill Walker. Please, Dr. Walker, please come forward. Thank you very much for joining
Hello.
us.
God richly bless you, Dr. Wong. Glad to be a part of your show. Thank you very much, and thank you for all that you bring on the table.
Wow, well, thank you very much. We're truly honored. Um, I know this is going to be a great broadcast. I just feel it. I read your bio, I've done my own little research, and wow. So let's get right into it. Reverend Dr. O'Neill Walker, please share with us, who is Reverend Walker? How
Wow.
were you raised?
Well, O'Neill Walker is a immigrant from Jamaica who
Okay.
came here as a baby to very ambitious parents. My father set the stage coming 2 years before I did with my mom.
Mhm.
He left the day after he found out that my mom was pregnant. That's just how
Oh,
it worked out. So I
right.
was away from him. He missed everything to prepare for everything.
Mhm.
So based on that, I got a rich history of hard work and sacrifice to make it in this life. My parents came to Canada, and all they had to their name was the fact that Jesus loved them in Jesus' name.
All
So
right now.
they came forth that way, and they worked. They put hands and hearts together, and they made life for myself, my two sisters, and my brother, which we adopted.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
So where do you lie in the siblings? Are you the middle child, the beginning? Like where are you?
yes, I'm the eldest.
You are the
I'm
eldest.
the
Oh
eldest
my
of
God. Okay.
yes,
Okay. So now you were raised, so you left Jamaica when you were a child. Where in Jamaica is your family from?
from St. Catherine
Okay.
in
So
a rich area called Lloydesville, the
okay.
sugarcane factory of Jamaica.
Well, okay, you can actually own that because yeah, we all
Yeah,
love our sugar cane and our sugar
no,
that
no.
comes from it, and also rum, good white rum.
That was on my mother's side, and
Are you
we're still praying for them, but.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with the rum. It's the drunkenness we need to talk about now.
Well, that's right. That's right.
Okay, so now, okay, so you left when you were a baby or a
I left
young
when I was
child when
correct.
you're a baby. So there's nothing about Jamaica at that time that you can recall, you know.
No, I don't believe so. Honestly, I say that because I believe that I saw my mother washing at a river, but I don't know if it was a dream from that. But she tells me about that, but
Uh-huh.
you know, but no.
Okay.
Basically, I'm Canadian groomed.
Okay, so
I carry the rich Jamaican heritage in my heart, and I love great things about our culture,
mhm,
great things about our people.
mhm.
So it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
So now you're Canadian. You're being raised now in the system and you're being raised by obviously Caribbean parent. Now,
That's right.
what did you see in terms of what was in the house and what you were exposed to when you went to school? Share with us what that was like growing up.
Well, I can tell you, I did not have the best experiences in school at all. I
Okay.
I saw racism firsthand. I
Mm-hmm.
saw abuse firsthand. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
there's things when you're a kid you feel, but you really don't know.
Okay.
Only when you get older, you get exposed to the truth and such like. Um, I grew up, and in the playground. I remember earlier on in the playground, our teacher would always be yelling at me saying, stand over here, stand over here, stand over here. And the thing is, I was right there. I didn't move. Only to
Right.
find was another black kid that was running up and down, but she deemed that we all looked alike. So
Ah.
right. There's also a situation where I saw injustice really early, where a kid kicked me, and my response, I kicked him back. But the
Mhm.
teacher out of nowhere just grabbed me, placed me against the wall, kicked me 4 times, still holding onto my neck, slammed me into my desk after rushing me over there for like
Mhm.
10 feet from where that happened. Now, growing up with Caribbean parents, we know that in that system, there's the politicians respect, there's
Mhm.
teachers respect. So if the teachers are doing this, it has
Mhm.
to be right.
Right.
So I earned it or
Uh-huh.
such like. But that was over the top. And when
Yeah.
my parents would be advocating for me, I saw them crossing out lines and letters saying, well, that doesn't count and that does not it. So I grew up with that sense that there is a divide, and they
Mhm.
call it based on their own expectation of you, which is low. So I
Right.
had to fight that, because if they're saying it's low and they're letting you know that you do not belong here by their actions, they're letting you know that you're unable to get the high marks because they're yelling out O'Neill Walker
Mhm.
below average in reading and comprehension.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
from
And
the
how long did that happen? Was it through the whole high school period? Was there a turning point, or how did you
this
overcome that?
this was in junior. No, this was in from primary school. This was happening in primary school, and then ended up being a remedial.
Mm.
From there, I ended up going to seeing a psychologist and such like, because they wanted me to see a psychologist.
Mhm.
And those testings, I found out that there was nothing wrong with me as far as that, but I was easily stressed, had
Right.
high anxiety. I remember doing a test, and this is way past the ink blot thing where you have to look at something and say, what is it? And then you say whatever you think it is.
Like, first thing that comes to mind. Yes.
First, there you go. Oh, you took. No, I don't think you took that. You might prescribe that. You probably do that to people right now, their doctor. Maybe
Okay.
that's
It's
your
all
plan.
about you right now.
But in regards to what they did, they had me do a puzzle set, and I did the puzzle set, and then they said, okay, now we're going to put a timer on it. No, first they asked me to put a timer on it, and I froze and I couldn't do it. And when they said, okay, the timer is off,
Mhm.
click, that was it. So I realized in pressurized situation, it's not that I couldn't learn, it's that I
Mhm.
was stressed. So
Right.
I had to learn to manage my stress. I'd love to say that it stopped right there, but when I went on to grade 7, it became
Mhm.
even worse now, and I had a different principal now, but he was not for blacks, or, and he was not for me.
Mm, okay.
I can recall in my engraving on my locker, moose lips, students engraving that in my locker, being called a jigaboo, which means an African spirit thrower. This is how
Really?
I'm pronounced. I remember my work. I remember even the teacher taking away my work, taking my lunch,
Mhm.
hiding them taking out my schoolwork, my backpack, hiding it. People would get answers for tests or answer questions. I was set not to be able to answer because they didn't give me the material.
Right.
Emotionally, it played on me.
Mhm.
And there's two significant things I remember. One, I remember in primary, I was crying because the teacher called home. And when the teacher calls home, you
Yes.
know, it's close to singing "Meet Me by the River" someday. Because you feel like the Lord is about to call you home. And I remember crying. And I remember walking and passing a glass, a
Mhm.
mirror. And I looked at this little boy in the mirror crying. And I realized that little boy in the mirror crying. I looked at his face and I said, in my own ways at that time, there's more to life than this.
Mm-hmm.
There's more to life than this. And that breaking point became my turning point. Because I
Wow.
realized that no matter what's happening on the outside, I need to look at myself.
Mm-hmm.
And in looking at myself, I need to look within. And I need to acknowledge how I am feeling, because
Mm-hmm.
feelings are an emotional state of a reaction.
That's
And
right.
there's a precipitating factor causing me to react the way that I am reacting. There's a precipitating factor that's causing me to respond this way. And I have to look into it. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we have to look deep within ourselves to get the answers to why.
Right.
And that is one of the things that I did. I can recall we're fast forward now about 10 years later, and I wanted to work, I wanted to do journalism, and there was an opening for the Brampton Guardian, student journalist. It was called the co-op system, co-op education, in which you're on the job training and you get credits.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I
Well,
remember that.
okay.
Yes.
And I spoke to my English teachers, and my English teachers said, well, don't count the chickens before they hatch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the English teacher didn't know that some of those students that she had, they'd be asking me for help with their homework. So they'd be asking me at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'd
Mm-hmm.
help them with their homework
Mm-hmm.
and their assignments. And 8:30, they'd hand it in, and they'd be getting A's. My assignment that I did the night before, hand in, I'd be getting C's and D's. One time I got a B plus plus. I never heard of a B
Of a
plus.
B plus plus. Ah.
Couldn't give me an A. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes getting close to something that looks great is just not enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not enough because you're not hitting the mark.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what stung, not hitting the mark. Even though I was prepared, but the system made me not hit the mark.
Mm-hmm.
Preparation meets opportunity. It's one of my mouths. Preparation meets opportunity. Opportunity knocks, but preparation opens the door.
Mm-hmm.
And I can recall now, they have to, if you're saying that you want to have a chance at this particular field of choice, they have to grant it to you, even though the guidance counselor told me to take the year off if you don't know what you want to do. Now, you want to know, if you take the year off and try and get a job, you're not going to be interested in school. It seemed like she had a history of telling a lot of Black students to take the year off, not to
Right.
try, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
So here I was, and I met the editors of the Brampton Guardian,
Mm-hmm.
and told them about my interest in writing. And they said, oh, okay, well, do you have any proof of your work?
Mm-hmm.
And immediately the co-op teacher looked the other way.
No.
She didn't tell me of these things. But little did she know that I had a 200-page manuscript that I wrote from hand
Mm-hmm.
that I brought to go, well, I have this. And there's like
Mm-hmm.
the pictures of all this happening in over the year in my life and such like. And what I did, I presented it to the editors, and they said, we want you. So I realized that there's systems in place, but you got to go beyond the system, because the greatest system is your belief system.
That's right.
And your belief system tells you that there's something well beyond this. There's more to it than this. And sometimes it just means that I have to keep on digging within myself to
Mm-hmm.
produce.
Mm-hmm.
Pressure produces productivity.
Right.
And we have to strive. Even when I was doing very well, I mean, here I am, it's a 500,000 people in Brampton at that time,
Mm-hmm.
back in the day. And my article is in there, and this face is on there. I have my own column, Youth Pulse, and I could write about anything that I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, the whole image of me began to change within the school.
Mm-hmm.
My grade 10 teacher, who on the first day of school brought me outside and said, "What the hell are you doing here?" is the same one 3 years later that took my hand with his meaty hand and said, "I'm proud of you."
Oh, wow.
That same teacher.
What was your reaction? What was a natural reflex hearing that and remembering what, what impact she had at your earlier age?
At that time, I shook hands with him because I believe that we have to shake hands with the past and move on.
Okay.
Um, Unforgiveness is a great impediment
Mm-hmm.
towards opening up doors or realizing that there's doors open for you
Mm-hmm.
because you put a lock on it and you're holding other people. You think you're holding other people hostage, but you're really holding your own self hostage.
Mm-hmm.
And in holding your own self hostage, you don't know the height or the depth or the width of what you are possibly capable of. And in doing so, you could be blocking only yourself, but you could be blocking others. You could be blocking a nation. You could be blocking a policy. You'll be
Mm-hmm.
blocking change.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Wow.
one thing to have adversity, but it's
Mm-hmm.
another thing to not have an identity.
Right.
I was given an identity, and um, you know, I loved words as a kid, and I realized that words are power, and we have to utilize that. Um, Big punishment for me as a kid was being grounded, put in a corner, and I have to read the dictionary.
Not
Yeah,
the Bible. It's,
no,
it's
no,
either or. Okay.
no. For
Okay.
me, it was a dictionary. So
Mm-hmm.
my father said, uh, "How do you spell Czechoslovakia? Go look it up." Like that was my father, and that is my father too.
Right.
To this day, he says education is a key, but character.
Yes.
Character is the biggest thing, and I had to use these experience to build. And I think what it did, being told that I couldn't learn, it just pushed a hunger in me
Mm-hmm.
to learn, to
Mm-hmm.
observe, to calculate, to listen. You know, and it pushes me to strive, and not just that, but to believe that anybody could strive because the odds are against you
Mm-hmm.
to make it in any facet. But there's nothing like being the comeback kid. You're
The
not a
comeback kid.
comeback
Right.
the comeback kid. Um, another thing I remember, as we're talking, is that I wanted to pursue, I wanted to pursue journalism. I switched because at that time there ended up being a huge recession, and newspapers that were like this became like
Yes.
this because the
Right.
ads were going. So it wasn't a good time. And my father, who's always been that moral compass in my life, he said, "Won't you try social work
Mm-hmm.
because you're good with people." And
Right.
I didn't question it. At that time, you needed 65% to get in. Was averaging 76 at the time. So you had to write. Those in my favor, write an essay, and I was able to get in. But I remember an English teacher that every black student ended up dropping out of her class. Every
Wow.
drop. And I said I wasn't going to be that one. So when I had problems with homework or such, like I'd go to her, and she would always say that I'm busy. The one thing that she said to me that stuck out is that she wanted my mom to make muffins for the class. And
Really?
my mother is Aunt Jemima.
Oh, how did, was she suggesting, or did she taste your mom's mouth?
She flat out, she never met my parents. She flat out told me I need to get that for the class. And I had a tone with her and I said, "You're here to teach, and you need to teach me this thing."
Mm-hmm.
So it so happened that I managed to pass her class
Mm-hmm.
by a narrow margin.
Right.
But I ended up going into the social work
Mm-hmm.
and how life would have it and how
Uh-oh.
God would have it. I
Okay.
was working at a group home as a child youth worker for troubled teens, male and females. You know, I was a co-op home, and I had to go back to my school, but this time I was going back employed by the group home.
Oh, wow.
So here I am in the lunchroom all these years later, and I see a teacher now gray-haired and old and walking with a cane
Oh,
to the
no.
micro, which I was, and I said, "Excuse me, madame, do you remember me?"
Oh,
I think life just slapped her jawbone shut,
she
or
remembered you.
she swallowed sand,
Oh.
because I think with having the cane, she could have beaten Usain Bolt. I love pro wrestling, and there was
Right.
a wrestling announcer named Howard Finkel,
Mm-hmm.
and he said in an interview, "The greatest revenge is success."
That's right.
He was a person that was bullied. The greatest
Mm-hmm.
revenge is success. And speaking about bullying, it was last week Sunday that one of the bullies that I made mention of
Mm-hmm.
sent me a message on Instagram, and he said, "For what it's worth, I'm very proud of you."
Oh, how did that make you feel? Like, what was the instantaneous emotion? If you could frame it, what would it be like?
Validation,
Yes.
validation. I made it.
Yes.
I
Yes.
made. I
Yes.
overcome. I have overcome.
Yes, you have. And wow, again. See, I knew this was going to be that kind of interview. I got my tissues. I knew this was going to be that kind of interview. So now you have made it. You are now a beacon back in the school, in the community, and so on. What do you see? And with life lessons learned, how are you implementing that change to make sure that persons don't just look at you and assume that your mom can make muffins?
Hmm. Character counts.
Mm-hmm.
Character counts. And I believe that in all facets of life, we need to demonstrate that character counts to all manner of people. I
Mm-hmm.
work with special needs children.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I have many hats. I'm a pastor. I'm a
Okay.
clinical counselor,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a respite worker for special needs. I take out young men who are usually fatherless,
Mm-hmm.
because when trouble hits, somehow us men, we don't stick around. And God
Mm.
bless men that just take up the torch and run with it.
So
And
don't do you think that is a generational injustice, or do you think it's an adoption to the society as to where we are?
I think it could be both. I know I can tell you this for sure that we're dealing with the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
I think such behaviors is a carnal virus.
Okay.
It is a shredding of morality. If
Mm-hmm.
morality was a twine, it's the untwining, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
of it. And hurt people hurt people.
Well, that's correct.
Hurt people. Neglected people neglect people.
Mm-hmm.
And also people that don't want to deal with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Some are just runners,
Right.
but they don't understand that on the end of that finish line called life, things catch up with them.
You still got to face it.
You still have to face it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I, in being an advocate for special needs individuals, I make myself be the voice of the voiceless
Mm-hmm.
because they can't speak.
Right.
And somehow, I think because of what I've been through, I fight for the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
I fight for students that are even, that are not special needs, but are going through, the school system and they're failing. I say to them, okay, so maybe perhaps the 30% grade that you're getting that because, okay, maybe because the teachers give you that, or maybe that's what you're putting out. But there's another 70%
Mm-hmm.
that has yet to be revealed that's locked within you that you need to put out. Someone said, I hate school. So that's fine. You hate school, but you need to love learning.
Yes. Yes. And what is the percentage of that empowering words that you see, the actual turnaround? What is the percentage of that?
You know, the ones that I have worked with, I'd have to say somewhere between 75% or 80%. Every child that I worked with has
Hmm.
just been a success story personally. And I can say that that's by the grace of God. It's nothing that I have done. But you have to find a way to connect
Hmm.
wherever they're at. And that's why I even do my counseling practice. I find where they are to tell me
Right.
where you are.
Hmm.
This is not tell me where you are, and we'll move right where that is because growth is an upward progression,
That's right.
irregardless,
That's right.
irregardless of where it is.
So we always talk about the success story. Is there a particular child that no matter how deep you go or how you become an amorphous to their environment, you still can connect? Is there a child or anything of that sort that you've experienced that you're still working with?
Not that I'm still working with, no, but there was a child, and the reason for that, it became a violent.
Okay.
The child became violent, and somehow the tendency of being violent in public,
Hmm.
and that poses a threat. Um, the fact that if I would respond to him being a black man, violent, or responding in public,
Hmm.
it could be a double threat.
Right.
I've seen where individuals were in my vehicle. So no, we're let's say about 5 feet away from my vehicle, and you could see the visible signs that there are have special needs challenges.
Hmm.
And they came into my vehicle, but police came along, and because there was a complaint that I left a child on the road.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that's right. So, based on the safety, and you have to use wisdom, and I have a family, and I want to do everything best for my family. If it's going to jeopardize me bringing forth, to provide for my family, it's
Hmm.
not worth it. Sometimes also there's systems that are there that you just can't help. But no matter how you try, you just got to know that you've done all that you possibly can.
Hmm.
I've worked with kids in the group home, and I remember one person in particularly that his mother was a prostitute.
Okay.
Apparently, his mother was doing a trick in a moving van.
Okay.
And
Please
when
define trick
a
to those
trick.
who've
Okay.
never
All
heard
right.
that.
Okay. So a trick is a term that, okay, a sexual performance.
Okay.
So there
Hmm.
was a sexual performance that she was administering to an individual. And when that was finished, what the male did, he threw out of the moving van. She ended up being a quadriplegic.
Oh, wow.
So here is the young lady
Hmm.
that's now quadriplegic, and she has a teenage son.
Hmm.
The teenage son never knew his father, so he was angry.
Mm.
And I'd always see him next to me. He'd always come by me, but he would just sit there. He wouldn't say a word. He just sat there. And there's something about
Yes.
presence. And
Mm.
there's a huge problem in our community because our black men are not present.
Yes. Say that again. Like you're on the pulpit. Say it again.
There's a huge problem in our society because our black men, they're absent. They're missing in action. They're not
Mm.
taking responsibility. I always say that there's no touch like a touch of a mother,
Hmm.
the care of a mother, the nurture of a mother.
Hmm.
But when it comes to validation, when it comes to identity, this is from a father.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
from a father.
So the presence is most important.
Presence. And when you open your mouth, fathers, you're meant to speak life.
That's right.
Tell your daughter she is. beautiful.
That's right.
Tell her that, oh my gosh, you're just like your mother. You're
Mm,
beautiful, just like when I met your mother. The way you got to drive like your mom. You're gonna make it. You're gonna be huge. I believe
mm-hmm.
validation is
Yes.
key. And my
Yes.
father and my mother, they validated me. They
Yes.
validated me and pushed,
So,
and that's what makes me go further.
how did your mother and father validate? What when I say how, it's not just what they said. Was it a demonstration of something that you saw or heard or a combination of that just sticks with you today?
My father is just a hardworking, good-natured, loving man that would
Hmm.
give the shirt off his back and trust God for two more.
Right.
That's how he is. My mother's the kind of individual that she knew that there was a single mother that was home, left destitute from a devastating divorce, didn't have anything. And somehow, when that lady went away for a day or for a weekend, my mother was able to get a key to her place from her sister.
Hmm.
And my mother, out of her own pocket, furnished the
Wow.
entire apartment
Hmm.
with new furniture, with a new bed, with bed linen, everything.
Hmm.
She stocked the fridge.
Hmm.
She never made somebody feel less than how life
Yes.
brought.
Right.
That
Wow.
that those are the parents that I grew up with, and they didn't have much. And but they didn't
Right.
make you feel like you didn't have much. They
You
made
didn't
you feel
know.
that
Yes.
God is able to provide. Don't
Hmm.
steal, don't beg, work, pray, dedicate yourself.
Hmm.
Watch
That,
bad company and push on through. But you're not meant
that
to be pushed alone.
that's important. And I am just so I am just so thankful that the experience that you've occurred, you have coined it so well, so elegantly to express because there are fathers that are listening, there are single mothers that are listening. So you have their audience, Dr. Walker. Speak in them, just as your father would and have spoken to you.
We owe it to ourselves and the betterment of society to take care of
Hmm.
one another.
Hmm.
If God put people in your life, make the most of what you've been given.
Hmm.
Children cannot raise themselves. We
Mm.
are here to raise children. And I also want to speak to the fact of not just your biological children, but
Hmm.
children that are brought that came along with the loved one that you are seeking or with the loved one that God gave you. I don't
Hmm.
believe in that name step parent. I'm not stepping on them. I'm raising them.
Yes.
Whether it's biological love, your biological child, whether it's an adopted child, whether
Hmm.
it's an inherited child's relationship,
Hmm.
whether it's begotten love, inherited love, or adopted love.
Hmm.
Love is love.
Are you there? Well, I would like to just take a moment just to share that the Now Talk Show is sponsored by the Alabaster Wellness Clinic, where we specialize in clinical counseling, psychotherapy, integrative medicine, and also trichology. I also ask the fact that you've been joining us from conception, please subscribe to the Now Talk Show on our YouTube channel. Also, visit the clinic actually at the Alabaster Wellness Clinic. And also, I would like to take the opportunity to share with you that should there be, or I should say, invite If there's anyone who knows, and I'm sure we know of a distinguished gentleman around us, that we're asking for you to send an invitation to the Now Talk Show at, actually our email is right on the screen, the Now Talk Show dot drnwong@gmail.com. We're more than happy to have you join and share your story. The platform of the Now Talk Show is a platform for men simply because the first voice that was heard in creation was the voice of a man. It framed creation. And we would like to give you the opportunity to express yourself in just doing that in terms of paying it forward. I think our guest, Dr. Walker, obviously had a bit of a technical difficulty. He lost connection. So I want to talk a little bit more about another topic, and I was just going to give Dr. Walker an opportunity to log back in. So, along with a talk show host, I'm also an author. I just released my third book, and this book is titled Sex. Let's talk about sex in a Christian bedroom. And you are at the right time. I was just talking about my book, Sex. Let's talk about sex in a Christian bed. And I know that you're reverend. So at some point, somebody has come up, has inquired, perhaps your own story, perhaps in a place that they wanted to get some knowledge. What is your point of view when it comes to sex, a conversation? And I'm talking the educational aspect, not the judgeful, not the judgmental aspect or the aspect that is taken in perception out of someone else's ignorance. What is your point of view when it comes to this particular topic, Dr. Walker? And you're talking as Reverend Walker now. Wait. Talking as a man. Okay. In spite of the title, you're all man. So what do you think of that conversation?
Well, first off, I want to say, no matter the title, the offices that we hold, whether we're reverend, pastor, evangelist, doctor, everything like that, this is what bestowed upon us. But who we are as individuals, we are men trying to be more like God. Now, as a man, I have benefited from the loving gift from God, because that's what sex is. Sex is a gift of God. You know, it is a gift that God made.
I'm sorry, you are really an author. How you just articulate just that phrase. Somebody just post, I gotta bring my water. I'm sorry, continue.
Listen, people don't understand. Sex is a gift from God.
Oh,
And
yes.
this is what he said, the two shall become one flesh. For this cause,
mm-hmm.
You know, a man will leave his mother and father.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very unique because remember, he came from a mother and father.
That's right.
Through the act of sex, through the union of sex.
Mm-hmm.
Right? To the rendering of sex. He'll leave that and he will cleave to his wife. In other words, what your parents started to make him, to bring forth fulfillment, he's here to do that, to bring forth fulfillment. Sex is meant to bring forth fulfillment, united with the one that God chose for you. That's what it is. And unfortunately, people do not value it in the context in which God intended for or Calvary recommended. So sex is more of an act than it is or an activity more than it is an activation.
That's right.
If it was an activation, we'd be doing it the way God intended. Right? Because people talk about sex and they want to go through all different kinds of facets or everything like that. You understand that in a marital covenant, you're having a threesome. It's you, your partner, and God.
That's one of my headings in the book. It's titled Threesomes.
Okay, well, I never read your book, so it must be the
Oh
Holy
well,
Spirit.
we're gonna get you a coffee.
Yeah, we have to do a switcheroo of books.
That's fine. That's fine. Well, share. Well, talk about your book as well. The fact that we're on books, okay?
Yes. I think that one of the biggest problems in society, when you look at all these single individuals and kids, broken homes and such like, a lot of people they don't think things through. They make love, but they don't make a life.
That's right.
A
Right.
lot of times men are labeled, oh, men are dogs, men are dogs, men are dogs. I say, yeah, we could be dogs, but women are dog catchers.
Mm. They can be. Not all women.
Not all women, not
Right.
all men.
Not all men are dogs, and not all women are dog catchers. So that's all
That's right.
right.
But
Yeah.
as I said, going back to what I was saying, they make love, but they don't make a life. So after the session,
Mm-hmm.
where do you go from here?
Right.
And you cannot have sex outside of your mind being on it.
It's first mental. That's correct.
It is mental. And we have to decide, what are we investing in this?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What are we investing in this?
Mm-hmm.
And
So,
because this comes with consequences.
oh yes, that's for sure. So you are a very seasoned man, and I saw the vein throbbing in your head when you talk about the excitement of God made sex. You're a married man with beautiful children. Share with us, how did you know that this young lady was a gift? A man that finds a wife finds a good thing. How did you know? How did the everything become harmonized in terms of you selecting this beautiful woman?
Well, I to tell you the truth, I can recall that there was a church mother.
Ah,
This is my story. This is my story.
this is okay. We're gonna bring her on afterwards because I suspect there's three sides to this.
Unfortunately, she passed away
Oh,
12
the
years
mother.
ago.
Okay,
The church
sorry.
mother. You
Okay.
have the mothers in the church?
Mm-hmm.
And she said to me, she always called me Bishop. I was a little kid. Bishop, in the year 2000, we're in 99 now. She said, in the
Mm-hmm.
year 2000, you're going to preach out of your church. You're going to meet your wife.
Mm-hmm.
I said, oh, Mother Rapley, you're so sweet. Because, church mothers, they want everybody married.
I know. I know.
They want to pray, fast, and just hurry, match make. And I said, oh, Mother Rapley, you're so sweet. Because what I did, I went on a 2-year dating fast. That's what I did. I didn't date
Okay.
for 2 years prior because, there wasn't, unfortunately, it was hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't last long. Relationships, just things, we weren't corresponding. It started off good. There were, we had different issues, different philosophies on life. They weren't as deep in the faith as I thought that they were, and such like, or they had some character flaws that there's no way that I could,
Compromise.
I
Yeah.
could compromise. I couldn't do that. So 2 years, I just said, you know what, I'm taking a break off of this thing called dating, and I'm just going to build myself, build my ministry, pursue God. And she said that, so I was still on that dating fast kick. And
Mm-hmm.
the first time I preached out in February, it was a Valentine's Sunday. That's what they were calling it. They had roses celebrate Valentine. That's where I saw my wife.
Oh.
That's where I saw my future wife. The unique thing is that there was the altar, and I was praying for people at the altar. And my wife's name is Sandra. And Sandra had a friend who was ailing with her stomach. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to touch this woman's stomach. So I asked for Sandra, right? She was standing next to her. Could you please put your hand on her stomach? And
Right.
when Sandra put her hand on her friend's stomach, I put my hand
On
on
top.
his hand, knowing God was joking.
I love it.
4 months later, I proposed.
4 months. Oh,
4 months. 4 months.
that is
So we started
encouraging
dating.
news.
Yeah, yeah. So October, we started talking, aka courting,
Okay.
and I got engaged to her. I proposed in front of
Mm-hmm.
a small crowd of 75 people.
Okay, that's small.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've been married for how many years now?
We've been married 19 years.
Okay, and how many children do you have?
We have 3 children, one adopted, one inherited, and
Uh-huh.
one begotten.
That sounds like the Trinity right there.
Blessed Trinity.
Oh, I love it. So share with us about your book and where should anyone have the need to reach out to you as a clinical counselor as well? Please share that information.
Well, thank you for the plug. My book is entitled "I'm Worth Something:
Mm,
Against All Odds." That is in publishing right now with Essence Publishing, and I'm looking forward, by God's grace, to be hearing from them. So we're looking at early 2021
hmm
to having that out. There's a book that I wrote in the past called "Answer the Call."
hmm
Comprehensive guide to Christianity and ministry, and that's regarding ministry and what it takes to be a pastor, and all that goes along with it. In
Right,
regards to counseling, my counseling practice is a home office in the city of Brampton. It's
okay.
OKW Counseling, and they can easily get in touch with me via Facebook, or I can give you my number right
Sure.
now:
Please.
647 274 3625. That's 647 274 3625. I'm easy to find on Facebook, O'Neill K. Walker. I deal with crisis counseling,
Mhm.
clinical counseling, obviously, and as well as grief counseling and marriage counseling. I find that throughout these days, I've been dealing with a lot of hurting marriages, broken marriages,
Right.
in teenagers. Life
Mhm.
happens, and I provide a non-judgmental model where it's solution focused and it's safe to share. And I
Right.
found that people that we shared with and we've come up with solutions, we find that there's been major
Right.
changes. But they're putting in the work. Anybody can make suggestions, but them putting in the work, they're the
Yeah.
champions, and I fight for the underdog.
And that's important. And we have just about come to the end, but this is the question that I would like to ask you or leave with you. Where you are today, what would you tell your younger self?
I'll tell myself to keep on pushing. Don't stop dreaming.
Hmm.
Don't stop.
Keep on dreaming and don't stop. Don't give up. I'm pretty sure that, well, that's the word that Dr. Walker would like me to echo, that which you've shared, that the foundation is already there, or the seed is already implemented by God, and seed can only do one thing, is to produce. And the beauty about having a seed is it will produce its fruit. And one thing about fruit, when your fruit is good, it's sweet, people will always come to you. And that's what character brings forth, good fruit. So on behalf of the team, we have a wonderful team. Miss Diane, Miss Diane Robinson, Christine Graham, and Rob. We cannot forget our tech guy, Rob. I want to thank everyone for joining us on the Now Talk Show. I'm your host, Dr. Nadine Wong. And again, the Now Talk Show is sponsored by the Alabaster Wellness Clinic, where we specialize in clinical counseling, psychotherapy, integrative medicine, and we also, again, would like to ask you to invite a gentleman to join us here on stage so he can express himself. Ah, Dr. Walker, was that your final word? Because we were just about going into the last word.
I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. Thank you again for accepting the invitation. I know you're a very sought out, distinguished gentleman, and the fact that you have given us an hour of your time, it's with great honor. I say thank you. The team say thank you, and all the audience that was well engaged. Uh, just want to say thank you again for sharing and expressing your heart. God bless you. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for joining us on another great episode of the Now Talk Show. Thank you and good night and good morning. Have a wonderful day.